So God moved your girl to a whole new state by herself with no plans, bad credit, no apartment lined up, no job lined up, and $2.99 in my account if Apple ain't took that yet. And I want to document this journey, and I don't necessarily want to give tips, and I see people asking me for tips on how you know this and this, that, and the third. I don't want to give you tips because I'm still actively living in this testimony, and I feel like it wouldn't be wise of me to be giving you tips because, baby, I'm still I'm still trying to figure it out, and I don't want to do you like that. Because what's going to happen is both of us going to be on the side of the street, and you're going to be looking at me. And don't look at me. But anyways, I just want to share my journey and how I know he told me, how he confirmed it, what's going on, where I'm living, all this type of stuff. You know what I'm saying? Okay, so basically for the past couple months, I had been feeling like God had been highlighting Texas to me. And I was just thinking like, God, is this you? Are you trying to tell me I'm going to end up in Texas? Because I never felt like I had to leave Memphis to be successful. Like a lot of people think you can't be successful in Memphis. Well, the people that's from Memphis think that. I never felt that way. If anything, I was feeling like I wanted to bring, God's presence in Memphis more, like for the people who probably don't want to go out and pop lock and drop it no more, but they still want to have fun. Like just bring that type of scenery to Memphis. And I wanted to work on doing that. And I also done had some good success in Memphis, so I never thought that I had to leave Memphis. I wanted to enhance Memphis back, actually. So when he said that, I was just like, okay, are you telling me I'm going to end up in Texas? So I was like, God, if this is you, if you want me to go to Texas, confirm which part of Texas you want me to go to. He confirmed it quick. I said, oh, you about this. But I just took it as a mental check note because I'm like, okay, I don't got no good credit. I ain't going to have no place to stay. I don't got no job right now. This, that, and the third. So it's going to be like, okay, how am I going to make all this happen? So in my head, I'm thinking, maybe he's just trying to tell me I'm going to end up in Texas and I need to be, working on all these things that might put a barrier in between me going to Texas. So next year or something like that, I can end up moving to Texas or, going on assignment, whatever the case may be. But then like the last 2 weeks, it's like he been making stuff real uncomfortable for me in Memphis. Even in my house, I've been uncomfortable. Like even when it comes to making videos, if ain't nobody in my house, I still got to leave my house and go to a parking lot just to make videos. Like, I don't know. And it's just like relationships and it's like he started making everything so uncomfortable for me. And it's not that I left because I was uncomfortable, because I'd have been uncomfortable in Memphis before. I feel like everything being uncomfortable was I felt like I was in kind of like a Haggai type of thing. Like I felt like he was drying everything up around me so I can see that ain't no provision here no more for me. And I was wrestling with this because in the past, I used to always make impulsive decisions. And I didn't want to do that. Like, I literally did not want to make no impulsive decisions. So I've been wrestling with God with this for like days. And what's crazy? It's so crazy that when I cut meat out my diet and I've been transitioning to vegan is when it started getting louder, like, you need to go to Dallas. And I was like, I just didn't feel like there was no coincidence. And a lot of people asking me, how do you know it's God? How do you know this? I can't tell you how I know is this, that, you ain't gonna understand. That's just like when you and your friend got a secret joke, you know what I'm saying, between each other. If I come in a picture and y'all, I'm not gonna understand it because I don't understand y'all intimacy. Like, I can't explain it, and I don't even feel like it's necessary to explain it because you still won't understand. I hope they didn't come out rude. I feel like they came out rude. I'm sorry. But it's just, but I didn't want to make no impulsive decision. And my biggest thing that I was wrestling with is I don't want to stay in Memphis and miss out on whatever blessing, opportunity, assignment he got for me in Dallas. And I was just like, okay, I've been in Memphis for so long, and I feel like if I don't go to Dallas, I'll never know. And I'll always be wondering, like, I wonder, did I miss out on this? Or I don't want something to end up happening in Dallas where my presence was supposed to be there. And I'd be like, dang, that's why he wanted me there. So I was just telling God, like, I was just really, talking to God a lot, just talking to God a lot. And I just, after talking to him and discerning the whole thing, I felt like it'll be better to go to Texas and see. Because, obviously it's something there. Well, something here. And I was just like, I'd rather go to Texas. And if all fails, I can always drive back. But if something happened in Texas and I'm not there, then I just missed out on it. Like, So I asked God, I still was asking God, I said, God, if my assignment in Memphis up until this point is complete, if I have done everything I needed to do in Memphis, let me know. I was just like, let me know, God. And I feel like he told me that. But I still, you know me, God, you gave me 2 signs. I'm going to leave after you give me sign 58. So I was like, God, for real, if you want me to go to Texas, let me see 4/7. And I said 4/7 because you're not going to see 4/7 no more. And I already talked about this, but I'm going to say it again. I told him, let me see 4/7 because 7 is the number of completion. Even though everybody keep on trying to tell me it's 3, this, that, and the third, it's different types of, anyways, missing the point. So, I end up going to Walmart. I never go through the register where the person check you out. I always go through self-checkout, but for some reason I wasn't able to go through self-checkout, so I had to go to a register. And the girl had 3 7s as a tattoo that was checking me out. And I was like, God, okay, that's cool and all, but I said 4. And you know me, I'm thinking like, see, that's the devil. That's the devil. The devil want me to say, okay, 3, but I asked God for 4. And now that I think about it, we so extra. But anyways, so I was like, okay, cool. But then after discerning a situation, I was feeling like, I feel like this is God. Like, I feel like this is God. So I just said, you know what? I'm finna look into like booking a hotel because I had enough money to book the hotel for the first week. But if I would have booked the hotel for multiple weeks, I would have been living in a hotel, but I ain't gonna have no money to eat, no soap, nothing. So I had to go week by week because I had some money incoming, but it was gonna be enough to cover weekly. But it's just like, you know how you gotta break them payments down and you gotta point, amen, check the check, okay? So that was the case. So I had booked the hotel, and during that time, basically when I booked the hotel and I discerned that I'm just gonna go through with it, the total for the hotel came out to be $777.70. If I still got the picture, I'm included. And I was just like, God, that's so God. Like, I just feel like that's so God. Like, how is when I booked the hotel, I asked you for 4/7, and the 4/7 is literally the amount for the hotel. And I was just like, that's so crazy, God. That's so crazy. And, I just felt like, okay, it's time for me to roll out. So I end up leaving. But before I left, this is why it's important. I feel like it's important to have your own relationship with God. Before I left, I told my mama, I told somebody who is like one of the only form of Christian godly counsel as far as like really in depth and stuff like that. And I was telling her, I was like, I'm leaving and, I really don't want to tell too many people until after I'm gone and stuff like that. And she basically was telling me that I love her, but she basically was telling me that you leaving, you supposed to, God want everybody with community, which I agree with. You're not supposed to be isolated, which I agree with. Iron sharpens iron, which I agree with. But she was making it seem like me leaving Memphis was me leaving all my family and friends in hell. Like, she was making it seem like if I leave Memphis, then I'm not sharpening the people around me. And I understood her perspective, but at the same time, I'm like, for one, I don't even see these folks. They ain't getting sharpened now. We ain't cool. Anyways, this is a different story. That's a whole different story. But on top of that, it was just like, I already felt that way for a long time when it came to my little sister and my mama. And I feel like I talked to God about that as well. And I was telling God, like, I don't want to leave. And God kind of exposed, like, you got this sense of control that's unhealthy. Like, you feeling like if you leave, all of them gonna crumble. You're not giving me no space to be God. Like, you got to give me some type of space to, protect them and show you that I can protect them, because it's going to be a point. What about when your little sister go to college? What about when you on assignments? Y'all ain't even got to stay in a different state for real. But what about when I have you traveling over the world on assignments? Are you going to be saying, oh, I can't go if they can't go because I got to do this? So either way it go, you're going to have to learn how to release control. It's just my little sister in high school, and this her last year, and I really want to mold her as best as I can before she go off to college, because I feel like this is a real crucial year to just like instill in her whatever, the best things, like, So he kind of exposed that control over me, that control that I had. So when she said that, I automatically knew, like, that's an unhealthy pressure. Like, don't put that pressure on me that when I leave, everything gonna crumble. I don't like that. And then What was another person? I think I talked to my dad. Yeah, I talked to my dad. And I feel like, honestly, me leaving for my dad was always going to be, it was going to be rough. I could have said I'm moving 30 minutes from my mama's house. Lord, he was going to have a heart attack either way it go. So, God, please don't let my dad have a heart attack. Forgive me. Okay, anyways. So, I told him that I was leaving, and he kind of like, brushed it off as if I was joking. And then he ended up coming to the house, and we kind of got into a little dispute, which ended in us hugging and crying. But then he came in my room, and he was just basically like, this just let me know we got a little bit more work to do. I need to start being around more, and I need to start doing this more. But it's like, that wasn't the case, and it's not like he's not around. So part of it is like, I don't know. But basically us hugging, because I seen we weren't coming to an agreement, and my mama was like, okay, I understand. We don't want you to go, because they kind of scared about the psychosis thing. But I was kind of explaining to them, like, they can't let that control my life, because I even at some points, like, doubt myself for sometimes when it comes to this whole situation. But I just don't want that to control my life. So my mom was like, okay, y'all, you see that y'all ain't coming to no agreement, so just go in here, hug him, this, that, and the third. I did that. We ended up crying, but he thought that meant I was staying. So he was like, I'm going to be back over here Friday to see y'all. And basically, I had left the next day. And I didn't tell him that I was leaving because I wanted to have a peaceful drive. And the drive was actually so... Excuse me. It still didn't come out. The drive was actually, like, so peaceful. Like, I was happy the whole way there. My mama ended up telling him, and she said he cried. So he ended up calling me, and then he ended up saying... he talked to God about it. He okay. He got faith, and he just said, whatever you do, just make it known that you're the best at it. And I said, I was gonna do that anyway. But yeah, that's why it's important. Now, another thing he said, he was like, that protective at first. When I first told him, he was like, God ain't telling you to do that. God wouldn't tell you just do that with no plans. And this is why it's important for you to know God for yourself. Because the first thing that came to my mind is, we first learned about Abraham, this is exactly what he told him to do. Like, even if I don't stay. And I was just trying to explain to him, like, y'all, my bed is still here. I paid $4 million for that bed. When I know it's settled, that bed coming. that bed and that whole set, that is coming. Don't worry. But that's why it's important, because it was her telling me iron sharpening iron. Him telling me God wouldn't tell you just do something without making plans. And if you're thinking about that from a logical perspective, and you're thinking about that you trust these people, you will start thinking like, dang, they right. But when you know God and you know his character, you'll feel like, okay, you're right. But this also, you know what I'm saying? So, yeah. But anyways, I ended up getting to Texas. And I had to call the hotel because, when you checking in after hours, you got to make arrangements. And I had already did that. An hour before I got there, I had called her and said, hey, I'm about an hour out. And she was like, okay, I'm going to give you the number to him so he can come and let you in. This, that, and the third. I'm going to tell him you're on the way. So when I got to Texas, this is why I was frustrated and crying at first, because it was like, okay, dang, how am I supposed to tell my mama, like, I don't got nowhere to stay, because I already know she going to go into panic mode. So I was calling when I got there, and I was calling about 2 hours. Nobody answered the phone. And the thing about it was, I had enough money. Like, the reason why I was in that hotel was because in my budget, that was the only hotels that was in my budget. Any hotels above that was like one something. Now, I had to pick that hotel because the other hotels that was in my budget, it was endless reviews about bed bugs. That hotel only had about a couple reviews about bed bugs, so I was just going to thug it out. So I was just going to hope for the best. I was going to go in there. I wasn't going to take nothing in there. And I was going to see if I could make it through the night without getting bit. That was my game plan. I don't know if it was a good game plan, but that was my game plan. And basically, I was just like, dang, like, I got enough money for a hotel because everybody was telling me sleep in my car. And I understand that there's some people's testimony. Do you know how bad my mama would freak out if I'm sleeping in my car? And I understand, like, if I had to, I ain't gonna lie, I was gonna do that. But then I realized I was doing it out of panic mode because I was like, okay, I only got a couple dollars. I gotta save this to eat, this, that, and the third. So I was really thinking out of a panic mode when I thought that. But then I realized, I was just like, okay, calm down. You got enough money to get a hotel. And if you do get this hotel, It's like $140 for one night. Just live lavish for one night because you might be going to bed bugs for the next couple weeks. And I was like, okay, just be cool. Like, you might have to go like 2 weeks just trying to make stuff stretch, but you're going to be okay. It's not the end of the world. And that's when I kind of calmed down and I laughed at it and I realized that this was giving Tyler Perry movie. And I was just like, I don't know. So I kind of started finding joy in it and I just kind of laughed at it. That's when, I posted the second video like, y'all, I'm okay. So I ended up going to a hotel. And by the grace of God, a lot of beautiful people, a lot of y'all sent me some funds. And, I was able to secure something for a month. But here's the thing. When I left out of that nice hotel, it was so nice. I was just like, God, is there a reason why you didn't want me to go to that hotel? Like, it got to be a reason. I was like, I wasn't going to like it, was it? Like, it's going to be low quality or something that was going to just make me feel bad about the whole journey. And I just felt like this. So what I did was, I initially had thought before I left, I was like, okay, let me get an Airbnb for a month. Then I looked at the cost of renting an Airbnb for a month. And I just realized Sydney ain't getting no Airbnb for a month. Then I realized that they let you rent out rooms, but I'm from Memphis. I was like, no, like, I don't know them folks for real. Like, I'm not doing that. But then once I left that nice hotel, see, that's why exposure expands your palate. I was like, bed bugs, nice place to stay. So I started reconsidering and I got back on Airbnb and I saw some people that had good reviews. And I was like, you know what? We ball. God got us. He gonna protect us. And we ball. So I ended up booking for that. I was able to book for a month because, all of y'all beautiful people. And that's what I did. And I ended up calling a hotel and I was just like, yeah, I need a refund, this and the third. And he was like, you know what? I was here, but I kept on you kept on calling and your number showed up as spam and blocked, so I couldn't call you back, this and the third. And I was just like, it's okay, I understand or whatever. Cool. But then I looked at the whole situation and basically I would have been paying more money at the hotel than I was at this Airbnb. And there's no guarantee that hotel was going to be, sanitary and all this different stuff. So in my heart, I feel like God blocked that call because I had been calling them all day long. There's no way that my calls just got blocked. And if the call would have never got blocked, I would have never been entitled to a refund and I would have been out of money. So I just feel like God already had been working everything out. So that's why it kind of gave me a little peace. It kind of gave me a little peace. So for everybody saying, why you just couldn't go into the hotel and get your money back? It was an extended stay, so they leave at 7 p.m. Why would I be panicking because they not answering the phone if I could just go in the hotel? Like, I ain't gonna lie. Y'all kind of made me mad a little bit with that one. Y'all take me off. Like, I need a little extra loving, but not that much extra loving. Like, the door is right there. They not answering the phone. Let me keep calling instead of going in. Like, I don't need that much extra loving. Like, I graduated for real, I promise. So, yeah, today I was a little sad. I got a little sad today because I was just like, being here made me realize how alone I was in Memphis because I don't got nobody to really, like, check in on me and, like, how you doing, this, that, and the third, who really concerned. And it kind of hurt my feelings a little bit because it's like, dang, I'm really alone. But at the same time, I feel like this is my boot camp. I feel like I'm finna get my help together out here. I feel like God finna show me the right way to build a community. I feel like God finna show me so many different things. And yes, I might get on here sad every now and then, or not even on here because I honestly don't want to come on here every time being sad. But I might be sad through this journey a little, you know what I'm saying? But I understand the purpose of it. And I understand that it's my little boot camp. God actually revealed to me I'm in boot camp like a while ago. But when he said that, I was thinking like boot camp, like at home. Like with the free rent. So apparently that's not the case. So I just want to encourage somebody. Like, I'm starting to feel like the only reason why we be so scared for faith moves is because we don't exercise our faith muscle a lot. We always got to make sure everything calculated. We always got to make sure everything makes sense. We got to make sure if 2 + 2 = 4, we got to make sure all of that is right. So we're not used to exercising our faith muscle. And I feel like that's why every now and then God got to throw in a big faith move because it's like, okay, they ain't using their faith muscle for me. Like, They ain't really using it, so I gotta throw in this big one because they ain't doing a little everyday training. So now I gotta throw in some hard duty training. And you know, I feel like we get scared because we used to everything making sense. So it's not that we don't got faith in God. It's just we not used to, you know, we not used to lifting that kind of weight, moving that faith muscle. And I feel like God already told me it's just time for you to have. It's time for you to have an increase in your faith. Like, you done had faith that, you know, provision as far as paying bills with, you know, small stuff, or, I just feel like this is a chance for me to really learn how to be independent, learn who I am, depend on God, and just, you know, see God in a deeper way, in a different type of way, you know, build a more intimate relationship with him through this big faith journey. Because I'm pretty sure, like, the testimony that's gonna come from this is gonna be big. Like, I'm gonna be honest, I don't know how long I'm gonna be here. And I don't say that out of fear, like I'm gonna get scared and leave. I don't know how long he want me to be here. I don't know yet. I don't know if I'm gonna end up staying here forever, or I don't know. All I know is I'm sad, but I already know it's gonna be great. So, you feel me? A lot of people gonna be like, don't be sad. Who? Who? Y'all, it's okay for us to be sad. Jesus wept. Like, I don't want us to be too spiritual that we forget we human. Because even the Bible say we do not serve a high priest that can't empathize with our weaknesses. So he understands. So I'm finally about to move all this stuff out of my car. And I'm about to get settled in. And I'm about to start, you know, going back on my diet. Well, not diet, my new way of eating. Because I still haven't been eating no meat. But I haven't been completely vegan because I ain't had no room to, like, cook. I haven't access to no stove. I've been stressed out, so I've just been eating a lot of processed stuff. So I want to get back to that and, you know, working out, finding a gym. But I'm finna go in this house, and I don't know, I'll give y'all a little tour or whatever one day. But that's all so far. Just a little update for right now. And I hope y'all have a great day. Tomorrow is tomorrow the 31st, or it's not 31 days? I feel like tomorrow is not 31 days, I don't think. So tomorrow is the 1st, so we just gonna wake up and we just gonna set a routine and we gonna get to it. I didn't know this video is gonna be this long, but here we are. Also, I'm starting my locks, so now I got these little twigs and I look like an egg. And it just made me cry harder earlier when I was sad, because not only am I sad, but I got these little twigs and I look like a crying egg. It just makes everything worse. And I feel like you just got to be a female to understand it. So, yeah. But I love y'all. I hope y'all will talk to me later. That's not what I was trying to say. And that's how I know I need to go to sleep. Because that's not what I was trying to say. So I love y'all, and I'm going to talk to y'all later. All right.